Call Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to... This is Shama Gauri Devi Dasi from Charlotte. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your wonderful services.
Hare Krishna, Shama Gauri Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining, and thank you for your services, Mataji, bringing beautiful speakers to the group. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj and Gauranga. All glories to all the assembled devotees on the call. This is Harita from Missouri City, Texas, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Harita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day in all calls and giving your association. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my pranam. My pranams to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sundarangi Radha Devi Dasi from India. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Sundarangi Radha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association from India. Welcome to the call. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead. Eh? Prabhuji, there on the call, Mataji.
No, Mataji.
Oh, I did not keep introduction ready, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Can I read, Mataji?
Yeah, you can read it, Mataji, if you have it in hand.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you. Here is a brief introduction about today's speaker. His Grace Mahabhagavat Prabhu. Prabhuji was born in a Madhava Vaishnava family, and he was drawn to atheism in his adulthood. While he started reading Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, just to find faults in it, this book had a profound impact on his life and clarified a lot of his misunderstanding. He met his spiritual master, His Grace Srimad Sankarsana Das Adhikari Prabhu, in 2004. But it was only after several years of intense discourse and answers to over 600 questions. He was initiated in 2011 at ISKCON, Austin, Texas, and then received his second initiation in 2013 at ISKCON, Kaunas, Lithuania. Today, he extensively preaches from all of Srila Prabhupada's books. His primary services are Sankirtana, book distribution, teaching, mentoring, cooking, and deity worship. He speaks English, Kannada, Marathi, Hindi, and Telugu, and has a basic understanding of Sanskrit and German. He pursued a PhD in machine learning and computational linguistics in Toronto. But this coincided with his increasing interest in bhakti and had to choose between the umpteen research papers and the works of Srila Prabhupada. He currently works in the corporate world as a chief technology officer at an insurance company. All glories to Prabhuji's all wonderful services. Here was the brief introduction, Mataji. Over to you. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Sundarangi Mataji, thank you so much for reading that introduction and thank you for coming in the last minute and helping us. Hari Bol Mataji. I think Prabhuji is not yet joined. If anybody wanted to introduce, they can introduce themselves to the call. Otherwise, we will continue our chanting until Prabhuji joins. Prahalad, is Lalitangi Mataji back from India? I see Prahalad join. I don't know if it was Lalitangi Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare. Okay, Prabhuji join. Hare Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha once again. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Mahabhagavat Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 5th chapter, 28th verse. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Vijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana तीरावनचारि यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद श्रीला प्रभुपाद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यो च उत्तानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for gathering here at the Bhakti Sangha Japa group and conference. It's a wonderful way to attend morning program no matter where you are. I'm very grateful to all of you. And in fact, the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference reminds me of the sages of Naimisharanya who gathered to perform a 1,000-year sacrifice. I hope that the Bhakti Sangha Japa group also can continue for 1,000 years. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we'll, as Mataji said, we are speaking today about the verse from the Bhagavatam, which is 8.5.28. That's 8th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 28. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी आजस्य चक्रं त्वजयेर्यमाणं मनोमयं पञ्चदशारमाशु तिनाभिविद्युच्चलमष्टनेमि यदक्षमाहुस्तमृतं प्रपद्ये अजस्य चक्रं त्वजयेर्यमाणं मनोमयं पञ्चदशारमाशु तिनाभिविद्युच्चलमष्टनेमि यदक्षमाहुस्तमृतं प्रपद्ये अजस्य चक्रं त्वजयेर्यमाणं मनोमयं पञ्चदशारमाशु दिनाभिविद्युच्चलमष्टनेमि यदक्षमाहुस्तमृतं प्रपद्ये Ajasya of the living being, Chakram the wheel, the cycle of birth and death in this material world. Two, but Ajaya by the external energy of the Supreme Lord. Iryamanam, going around with great force. Manah Mayam, which is nothing but a mental creation depending chiefly on the mind. Panchadasha, 15. Aram, possessing spokes. Ashu, very quick. Trinabhi, having three naves, the three modes of material nature. Vidyut, like electricity. Chalam, moving. Ashtanemi, made of eight fellies, the eight external energies of the Lord. Bhumir, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, etc. Yat, who, Aksham, the hub. Ahu, they say, Tam, unto him. Vratam, the fact. Prapadye, let us offer our respectful obeisances. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the cycle of material activities, the material body resembles the wheel of a mental chariot. The 10 senses, 5 for working and 5 for gathering knowledge, and the 5 life airs within the body form the 15 spokes of the chariot's wheel. The 3 modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are its center of activities, and the 8 ingredients of nature, earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego, comprise the rim of the wheel. The external material energy moves this wheel like electricity, like electrical energy. Thus, the wheel revolves very quickly around its hub or the central support, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the super soul and the ultimate truth. We offer our respectful obeisances unto him. I'll read the translation just once more. It's a long translation, hard to keep everything in the mind. So let's read it just once more. In the cycle of material activities, the material body resembles a wheel of a mental chariot. The 10 senses, 5 for working, 5 for gathering knowledge, and the 5 life airs within the body form the 15 spokes of the chariot's wheel. The 3 modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are its center of activities, and the 8 ingredients of nature, earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego, comprise the rim of the wheel. The external material energy moves this wheel like electrical energy. Thus, the wheel revolves very quickly around its hub or the central support, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the super soul and the ultimate truth. We offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The cycle of repeated birth and death is figuratively described herein, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5. Apareyam itastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. The entire world is going on because the living entity, who is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, is utilizing the material energy. Under the clutches of the material energy, the Jivatma is revolving on the wheel of birth and death under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The central point is the Super Soul. As explained in the Bhagavad Gita 1861, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayam sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. The material body of the living entity is a result of the conditioned soul's activities, and because the supporter is the super soul is a true reality. Every one of us, therefore, should offer respectful obeisances unto this central reality. One should not be misguided by the activities of this material world and forget the central point, the absolute truth. That is the instruction given here by Lord Brahma. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of ignorance. With the torchlight of knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Barijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpade Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। अजस्य चक्रम त्वजयेर्यमाणं मनोमयं पंचदशारमाशु त्रिनाभिविद्युच्चलमष्टनेमि यदक्षमाहुस्तमस्मृतं प्रपद्ये तमृतं प्रपद्ये। Okay, just a brief context before we get into the specific verse. What has happened here is that somehow or the other, Indra has made a great blunder. He's made a great mistake. Durvasa Muni offered him a garland of his own for him to wear, and Indra put the garland on the trunk of his elephant, Airavat. And because Airavat is, he is a celestial elephant, but still is an elephant, an animal after all, he did not understand the value of the garland. Some acharyas say that he was maddened by the smell of it. But what he did was he put it under his feet and trampled it and destroyed the garland. Now, everybody knows that, when somebody gives us a gift and we don't value that gift, then they feel hurt. In this case, we are talking about Durvasa Muni, who is very famous for his immediate correction for anybody, or even temper. So he was angry with Indra, and he cursed him that because he doesn't know how to value opulence, he should not have opulence. So as a result, the demigods became powerless, the demons became powerful, and the demigods were driven out of their homes and their responsibilities, etc. And in great pain and in great trouble, they approached Lord Brahma, who is their head, their master. And Lord Brahma then took the demigods and went to in this universe, there's a ocean of milk. So there is Kshirob Vishnu there, and he initially was not visible to the demigods. Lord Brahma made these prayers. All of Lord Brahma's prayers, as our Sampradaya Acharya, are highly instructive. In other words, he's praying for our benefit. So when we pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, actually we pray the prayers of the great acharyas. In many cases, we are not actually capable or smart, intelligent enough to make proper prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a famous story about a person who was asked to ask for a gift from a king, and this poor man had saved the king's life, and he did not know what to ask for. So he asked his family members, and they all asked for cheap little things. Like his wife asked for jewelry, son asked for license to do some wood cutting. It's a very long story. I won't get into the entire story, but eventually what happened is that he asked his uncle, who was a very wise man, and he said, you tell the king, whatever I have done for you, whatever its value is to you, the king, you give me accordingly. And the king gave beyond anybody's imagination. Like these poor people, what could they imagine what is wealth, So similarly, we don't know how to pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we make our own prayers in an immature state, it's like going to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and, like going to a multi-billionaire. Like, let's say you're doing a fundraising for an ISKCON project, and you're going to a multi-billionaire person and you go and ask them for 10 rupees. and which is fine. They will be able to give you the 10 rupees, but they can give you a lot more also. So instead, very expert fundraisers don't typically put an amount in front of very rich people. They say they give the total project cost, and then the rich person decides how much to contribute based on their capacity to contribute and the size of the project. So anyways, the point here is that Lord Brahma's prayers are very, very instructive to us. So that was a brief context here. Now, if you look at the picture, the mental picture that Lord Brahma is creating in this world, so you will see that Lord Brahma is creating a very beautiful picture. He's creating an image of a wheel. You can imagine this wheel because it's a mental picture anyways. And it has, like, if you look at the center point, or the absolute middle point is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you look at what you call the axle around the center point, you will the wheel, um, the hub of it, you see that it's the three modes of material nature, which are surrounding. It's like the Lord's energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has many different energies, and these three energies, um, the three modes of material nature, the Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and Tamo Guna are surrounding that center. And then there are 15 spokes. So we have 5 knowledge gathering senses: the eyes, ears, tongue, touch, and so on. We have 5 uh, knowledge gathering senses. By this, we gather knowledge about the world. We perceive everything, and these knowledge gathering senses take in all the stimuli that are around us in the world, and they reflect those on the mirror of our consciousness. And then, depending on our consciousness, the stimuli, the whatever comes in, results in some kind of actions. We either speak. The tongue is used both for tasting as well as speaking. We do some work with our hands. We do some work with our legs, and we do some work with our evacuating organ as well as our genitals. And that depends. Different people do different kind of work according to what the mirror of the consciousness is like. No? So this is a picture of the verse. Please think about it in your mind. I wanted to draw a picture, but I didn't get a chance to make the slide. It's a very beautiful image to keep in mind. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that this is a mental picture. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that we experience in the material world things as auspicious and inauspicious. Some things we see as good, some things we see as bad, right? So essentially, if you look at Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Dvaite Sabha Shubha Shubha. So he says, Dvaite Shubha Shubha Jnana Sabha Mano Dharma Ei Bhalo Ei Manda Ei Sabha Brahma. So he says that because the mirror of our consciousness is engaged in duality, Shubha Ashubha, Shubha Ashubha, Shubha Ashubha, Dvaite. So because it's in duality, it is actually manodharma. It's actually, the duality is created by the mind. Actually, there is no duality. This is just a supreme absolute truth. Thawar Jangam Dekhe, Nar Dekhe Taramurti, pure devotees, even sees all the things in the material world, but they don't see the material world. They see only the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A disciple of Srila Prabhupada asked, how is it that the pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere? So Srila Prabhupada gave a very beautiful and very simple example, and we can also appreciate this example ourselves. So for example, let's say you have a dear person, let's say you're a parent and you have a dear child, and you see the little shoes of the child, the little socks, the toys of the child scattered around the house. And when you see those things, you actually remember the child. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada said, when you see my glasses, what do you think of? Lying in the room. They say, oh, this is Prabhupada's glasses. So like that, So similarly, we can expand that. We see when we enter a temple, this is Prabhupada's temple. When we look at Srila Prabhupada's books, this is Prabhupada's books. So we can be in Prabhupada's consciousness just by remembering that this is the energy, the extended energy of Prabhupada that he has left behind for us. Right? Similarly, the pure devotee, he sees the whole world as the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but not the person who is in material consciousness. Okay, so this, because they are in material consciousness, we are caught in this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi cycle. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. We are caught in this cycle because those of us who are not in transcendental consciousness, those who are in Dvaite Shubha Shubha Jnana, are caught in this kind of thing. Okay, and then in this verse, if you look at the word by word, there is a word called Ajaya. So Ajaya is referring to the energy, his external energy. Devi Hesha Gunamayi Maya Duryaya Mameva Yah Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. So that Devi energy, it's his own energy, Devi energy, Gunamayi Mama Maya Duryaya. That Ajaya is described by Lord Brahma. So which exact which includes her different energies. She has so many different energies. She has the Avaratmika Shakti, the Prakshepatmika Shakti. She has the three modes of material nature. She has so many energies within energies, like they're analyzed by different acharyas. There's so many different kinds of energies of Maya Devi. So she keeps us bound, but not by her choice. She keeps us bound by our choice. So as long as we want to, we remain bound. The moment we don't want to, and we follow the instructions of Shri Krishna, we are freed from that thing. So here, Lord Brahma is actually referring to the living entity as Aja, Ajasya. That means unborn. So in fact, Aja is also one of the names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in many different Ajopisan Navyayatma Bhutanam Ishvaropisan. Krishna is saying, he says that, he calls himself Aja, the unborn one. Actually, the living entity is also unborn. Is a eternally being emanated expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. So actually, he's unborn. But in this material world, we are under the illusion that we are born in a particular uh, family and a particular species, particular kind of qualities, etc., etc. So Krishna describes that, like in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, "Natvevaham jatu nasam." He says, "You have never taken birth. You will never die. As a living entity, we are that, but we have forgotten that in this particular thing." So, right? So then the another word used in the this beautiful picture that is painted by Lord Brahma is Iryamanam. Iryamanam means moving very fast. So it's very, very fast moving. Like everybody is busy, running around. You're trying to distribute some books, and they say, no, we have no time to read these books. Why you don't have any time? Oh, I have to work so hard. Well, if you read these books and actually understand, you won't have to work so hard actually. And they say, no, we're too busy to read this book. No, it's like, you're too busy um, dragging some heavy weight, and we are offering you the wheel. Everything will become easy. And the person says, no, we don't want it. We are too busy for this. Right. So this is very busy wheel, moving very fast. And then it's manamayam. If you look at manomayam, it's there in this verse. The words are there. Manamayam. So we have already talked about it. We've talked about the Dvaite Shubha Shubha Dhyana, Sab Manodharma, Ei Bhalo, Ei Namanda, Ei Sabram. So it's like, so as my studies, I graduated as an electrical engineer. So when I looked at this verse, when I read it, I was thinking that this Lord Brahma has actually described an induction motor. The motors that are used to pump water from bore wells and so on, and to suck out water from one place and put it to the other place, like from one tank to an overhead tank, etc. Or almost everybody in India has these kinds of motors in their homes. So if you observe this motor very carefully, you'll see that there's a cage, has a cage, and inside there's some coils. So that cage, and if you look at that motor, this verse is actually kind of describing that, that induction motor. So actually, as an aside point, not the point of this particular verse, many devotees have realized, actually Srila Prabhupada explained it many different ways in a very beautiful way, that all material knowledge is also embedded inside the Srimad Bhagavatam. So you can understand things like medical treatments, you can understand things like geography, you can understand things like political science, you can understand things like economics, you can understand things like business, you can understand things like contracts, you can understand things about logic, you can understand so many things, including now in this particular case, the design of an induction motor from reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are many ideas, and many devotees around the world are relishing all of these wonderful things that are coming from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, but the reason I brought up this induction motor, another reason why I brought up this induction motor is that as long as you supply power to the motor, it will keep turning, it will keep running. The only time it will stop and it will still run for some time is when you stop the power supply to that motor, right? As long as you keep it plugged in, as long as it's switched on, at that time the motor will keep on turning. So now if you go back to thinking about what is making this motor turn, Krishna is saying something very amazing about the material world and our inverted, in the 15th chapter in the Purushottam Yoga, Krishna is describing ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम अश्वत्थम प्राहुरव्ययम छंदांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं vedasa vedavid. And then in that next verse, in the second verse of that chapter, he's saying adhascha. So he's saying that karmanu. So what he's saying in that ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम अश्वत्थम प्राहुरव्ययम छंदांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं vedasa vedavid अधश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखा गुण प्रवृद्धा विषय प्रवालाः अधश्च मूलान् अनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्य लोके. What does it say? It is nourished by the three modes of material nature. So if you look, it is being, so what is the power supply for that induction motor? That is our activities inside the modes of material nature. That is our attachment to that, the modes of material nature. Our attachment to remain within Krishna's Mahamaya is the thing that is driving that motor. That electrical energy that is driving the circle around, right? So Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that the 15 spokes are the 5 working senses, the 5 knowledge gathering senses, and the 5 life airs, prana, apana, udana, samana, vyana, like all of these different airs that are moving around within our body. Okay. Krishna is, Lord Brahma is also saying that the rim, like 8, the layers of the wheels are also bhumi, rapo, nalo, vayu. So earth. So we through the modes of material nature and our life airs and the knowledge gathering senses and the working senses, we are actually acting to create different causes and effects inside the modes of the 8 energies of material energy. So bhumi, earth, whenever we are manipulating metal or earth or farming or making sculptures or machinery or whatever, bhumi, apaha, we are working with water, bhumi, rapo, nalo, vayu. Our whole body is like that, actually made of these 8 different kinds of energies. And we are also causing such things to be made in the material world, right? And of course, Krishna is the central support. Now, if you look at a circle, when you're on the circumference of the circle and the circle is rotating at a certain speed, the velocity, the angular velocity of the circle that is turning is the maximum when it is at the edge. Imagine a point, a center point and a circle like this. You can see that when you're turning around and around, the angular velocity of that is very, very high, right? But as you start getting closer and closer to the circle, the center point of the circle, the angular velocity gets less and less and less and less until you come to the point where you're coming to Krishna. So as the Sampradaya Acharya, Lord Brahma is telling us that our ups and downs in the material world will reduce tremendously and become practically nil the closer we come to Krishna. Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was asked many times. I have heard that myself, where people were, some devotees were asking, Maharaj, it's so difficult to chant. It's so difficult to chant. We cannot concentrate. We cannot focus our mind. So Maharaj, Gopal Krishna Maharaj said that when you're taking off in a plane, initially it's a little bit bumpy. And once you clear out the clouds and once you go high in the sky, then it's a very smooth ride. Aeroplane ride is very smooth. So initially on the when you're taxiing, trying to take off, it's a very bumpy ride. But afterwards it becomes. What is that thing that makes everything smooth? Our focus on Krishna makes everything smooth. When we are chanting for the pleasure of Krishna, then everything becomes smooth. When we are not chanting for the pleasure of Krishna, when we have so many other engagements on our minds, when we are far away from Krishna, then it's a very, you go, in your one cycle of 108 mantras, you can go all over the universe and come back. If you come back, that is, right? It's possible. So now our Lord Brahma is a Sampradaya Acharya. So he has given many different prayers. So he's chanting some prayers now. And after the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in the next chapter, you'll see that Lord Brahma is chanting more prayers. And he's chanting more prayers. In the in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna enacted the Brahma Vimohana Leela, when Lord Brahma was bewildered by the attempt of trying to test Krishna, at that point in time, also in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto, Lord Brahma said many, many wonderful, beautiful prayers. And he's our Sampradaya Acharya, we are meant to reflect on his prayers and reflect on them deeply. So in one of the prayers, he says, ज्ञाने प्रयासमुदपास्य नमन्त एव जीवन्ति सन्मुखरितां भवदीयवार्तां स्थाने स्थिता श्रुतिगतां तनुवां मनोभिर् ये प्रायशो अजितजितोऽप्यसितैस्त्रिलोक्याम्. He's saying, don't look for knowledge, and that knowledge is of two types. Don't look for knowledge about the material world, and don't look even for knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our greatest acharyas, the gopis, don't love Krishna because he's God. They love Krishna just because he's Krishna. That's it. They have full attachment. They would love him even if he was not God. But of course, um, um, it is not that way. The gopis are, they don't have anything to get from Krishna. So we are not looking for necessarily for trying to get too much knowledge, acquiring all of these knowledge. It actually distracts us. So in later on in the 11th canto, in the Avadhuta's instructions, Krishna is describing when he's speaking to Uddhava, he's describing how a saintly person takes essential truths. It doesn't bother themselves with so much different things, flowery things that will end up distracting us, right? Now, and we'll talk about a couple of stories as well. But before we get there, I want to point out that this wheel is talking about everybody being busy, correct? So a question should come in your mind. Oh, busyness causes problems. Devotees are also busy. The karmis are also busy. So everybody is busy. And the karmis often use this argument. You're also doing the same things. You're going out there meeting politicians, like many great leaders. They go and meet politicians to get permissions for various projects. Many, like we do fundraising for our projects. We do book distribution. We organize so many things like this Bhakti Sangha Japa group here. There are devotees organizing this, making a Zoom meeting, doing the publicity for it, inviting people, making sure that everybody has a good experience. This is a lot of work. Like any other establishment, such as a restaurant or hotel or entertainment avenue or some stadium, whatever, they're all doing the same things, isn't it? Right? They're trying to gather people together and trying to get them to come back, give them a good experience, and so collecting the resources. We are all busy. And in fact, devotees are more busy than ordinary people because devotees are also acting for Krishna in the material world and they're doing their own spiritual sadhana and services, etc. Right? So, but Srila Prabhupada explains in one of the purports that actually the devotees being busy and the karmi persons being busy is not the same. It might look the same. You're eating, you're sleeping, you're singing, you're dancing, you're having parties, right? One of my colleagues many years ago when I was working for, he said, "What do you do on Sundays?" And I described my Sunday to him. Of course, Sunday has changed significantly with a lot more services since then. But I was describing, how we go to a Sunday feast on Sunday evening, and what do you do there? He said, he said, there's a class where we talk, there's a motivational speaker who speaks from the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam, and then we all feel energized, and then there's a dinner served, and then after the dinner there's a huge musical meditation, and everybody is dancing and jumping around. So he says, oh, so you party every Sunday night? And yes, it's a fact, we party every Sunday night, like without a doubt. Okay, so from the external, it looks the same, but there's one difference. Even though the devotee is also running very fast, the devotee is running to Krishna. He's running towards the center of that circle. Huh? But the non-devotee is running on the circumference of the circle, running up and down on the spokes here and there, like he's going all over the place, like a crazy drunken ant, like just going all the way, drunken bee or whatever, random patterns, right? The other one is running in circles. That's why they're going up and down. They're going up and down. Yeah. Krishna is saying, right? Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna. So he's just going up and down a cycle of birth, death, janma mrityu jara vyadhi, dukkha doshanudarsana, experiencing different kinds of distresses. So the non-devotee, that's what they are doing, whereas the devotee is running very fast towards the center of the circle, towards Sri Krishna. So I drew a little circle here, but it's not. I don't know if it's visible to you. So I drew a little circle here, which was meant to be, become like a slide eventually, but I just didn't get a chance to do that work. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada is quoting many wonderful verses in this purport, and I have also talked about some more things. But one of the verses that comes to mind when you're talking about this is the bewilderment of the person engaged in material activities comes from, this particular thing. Everything is happening because of the modes of material nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmane sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. They think that they are doing everything. In the purport of that 327, Srila Prabhupada writes so wonderfully that the devotee is seeing how the Lord is acting and how his modes of material nature are moving everything. But the non-devotee thinks that I am responsible for this success, or I am responsible for this particular credit, right? So, um, so now we have read that, right? Guna pravruddha vishaya pravalaha, right? So now there we have a choice to nourish. Every one of our activities nourishes something. Either it nourishes the modes of material nature and their grip upon us, like our activities nourishes the mode of material nature, or our activities can nourish the bhakti lata beach. Brahmande brahmite kono bhagyavan jiv Guru Krishna Kripaya Paye Bhakti Lata Bij, correct? So the Lord gives us to the agency of the spiritual master, gives us that Bhakti Lata Bij. So we can choose through our activities, even when we are not chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, even at that time, our activities can determine what we are nourishing, whether we are nourishing the modes of material nature that are binding us, or whether we are nourishing the Bhakti Lata Bij, which is going to Krishna's lotus feet. So another thing to be talked about here is that okay, I don't know, I got some sound. Okay, maybe it was some other program. So in that verse that Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport, where Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddesha Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantarudhani Maya. So that verse has a deeper meaning. Okay, Yantarudhani Maya. One of the meanings of that is that we are all on a machine made of the material energy. But because Ishwar Sarva Bhutanam Hriddesha Arjuna Tishtati, because he's Ishwara, the moment we turn to him, that Yantra Rudhani Maya it remains a yantra, but it is made of Yoga Maya now. So you can transform by our consciousness. If we are looking outwards, then the yantra is made of Mahamaya. When we are looking inwards, that same yantra is made of the Yoga Maya. So which allows us to come closer and closer and closer to Sri Krishna. Okay, so every single living entity decides which yantra to sit on. It's a personal choice. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Vimrishayate asheshena yathechasya tatha kuru." Do whatever you like. Srila Prabhupada had mentioned, then it's all right. You enjoy, you suffer, whatever it is. Like when there was one man, Srila Prabhupada was walking on a morning walk with his friends. And there was one man who had gone fishing and he had caught some fish and he was holding the fish like through some rope, like strings like that had been tied up, and the fish he was holding. And he held up the fish to the devotees and as if to say, "Look what I've got." So Srila Prabhupada's in front of him, he said, "Enjoy." And then he passed few steps and then he said, "And suffer." So we have a same choice. We can enjoy or we can suffer. We have all free will. Okay. So I'll just talk about two examples of how devotees who were externally focused became internally focused by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they accepted that mercy. Okay. So one of the examples is from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the Avanti Brahmana. And the Avanti Brahmana is described as a very materialistic person, and he was very, very stingy, and he would never give any money to his uh, to his family members and his friends and his wife and his children and so on and so forth. He was very stingy, very strict in all respects. He was very, very, and somehow or the other, by the actions of providence of Krishna, basically, uh, all of his good fortune, all of his wealth, everything was taken away, stolen by thieves, by the government, and by his family members. And because he had been so cruel to everybody, so like what is that? Callous is the word. He was also neglected by everybody, and so he became on the street. And then he adopted, because of this, he developed a sense of vairagya, and he adopted Tridanda sannyas. And he would mistreated very badly. Like he would go for bhiksha, and miscreants. Even today they do it. Like just a couple of days ago on Monday, I was distributing Rath Yatra invites to the Toronto Rath Yatra, which is one of the biggest Rath Yatras outside of India. And I was distributing these cards, and one man started swearing at me. One young man, like he was in his early 20s, like he's half my age, practically, young enough to be my child. And he was treating me not just with disrespect, but with so much um, anger for no reason whatsoever, that I was just thinking, this is just like an Avanti Brahmana experience. You go out there trying to benefit somebody, and they react to you. Murkhaya upadeshaya prakopaya na shantaya vayappanam bhajanganam kevalam vishavardhanam. So anyways, I had that experience recently. So Avanti Brahmana, much more severe. My experience was just 2 minutes. He lived a lifetime like that. So he was very mistreated. But when he was mistreated, he accepted everything that happened to him as the results of his own past activities given to him as correction by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he doesn't fall back into material consciousness or get attached to some particular situation. So this Avanti Brahmana story is a very, very instructive story. If you read this story, you will understand how somebody who was faced externally faced internally when they faced some kind of reverse. And everybody faces reverses. Everybody is not 100% successful all the time. So during those process of time of reverse, we should look inwards. Another example of this kind of um, uh, turning inwards is by one of our greatest spiritual masters, Pingala, the prostitute. So see, the Bhagavatam is so great, the Vedic culture is so great, that we don't care what the person might have been before they adopted bhakti. We only care what they have realized after they have started pursuing devotional service. So one night, this Pingala, the prostitute, whose only means of livelihood was to give her charms to some man who will pay for it. And she was waiting. She had dressed herself very attractively, and was showing off her beautiful body in different ways in front of her house. And on the way of this Videha, basically the same place of Janak Maharaj, the kingdom Videha. She was in the city, and she was seeing that men were passing by, and she was saying, "Oh, maybe this one can pay for it. Oh, he looks very rich. Oh, he will definitely enjoy my love, and he will definitely pay good money for this enjoyment." And she was waiting, waiting, waiting like this, but nobody stopped. And ultimately, the midnight hour approached, and she had been working so hard to get some kind of business in her profession, but she did not get it. And she was very, very disgusted by what she was doing. And her realizations, starting with Pingala Vacha in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, again, they are very, very instructive to us. All of us are like Pingala, actually. We are looking out there for our mind is like that prostitute who is all constantly going after different forms of sense engagements and saying, I will get some pleasure here, I will get some pleasure here, maybe I will get some pleasure here. And it's constantly baffled because no pleasure is actually uh, lasting. It's very fleeting. But still, that mind is going here and there, here and there, here and there. So if we learn from that Pingala experience, we will actually be able to turn ourselves to Krishna. And then she became a pure devotee just in a span of a little while, and then she was able to peacefully go to sleep. Like devotees, they sleep like babies. They just, the moment their head hits the pillow, they sleep. They're not, and they don't have to sleep a lot as well because their sleep is so sound. So few hours of sleep, 3, 4, 5, whatever hours they need, they're up and they're energized by that. Okay, so I'll just do a quick recap of this verse, and then if there are questions, comments, or any realizations, we can take those. Okay, so we examine the beautiful picture created by Lord Brahma or Sampradaya Acharya of the wheel with its center point, with the hub, with the spokes, with the material, the working and the knowledge gathering senses, and the 5 life airs, which are enabling those senses to work, because the life airs go out, senses don't work anymore. And then there's the hub, which is the 3 modes of material nature, and then there's the rim, right, which is the 8 material modes, right? We have that. So we looked at the various words. We looked at the chakram, the birth and death. Why Srila Prabhupada has given the purport that this is referring to the cycle of birth and death. We have looked at Ajaya, the word Ajaya, the undefeatable uh, Maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Both are undefeatable actually by devotees. The Yoga Maya and the Mahamaya both are undefeatable. So it's a consistent definition. It describes how we are actually unborn, but we are taking birth. Ajasya, Ajasya Chakram. So we are caught up there. It's talking about how Iryamanam is moving very, very fast by the action of the material energy, how like you're supplying electrical energy to it, and it's moving very fast, right? It talks about how this verse talks about how it's all this is a mental model. It's like Manamayam. It's very imaginary. The whole wheel is imaginary. Like everything that we are experiencing is sort of a hallucination. Everybody's talking about chat GPT hallucinating, but actually we are hallucinating in the first place, that we are something other than servants of Krishna. Okay, we talked about how it gives a knowledge of the induction motor, how as long as you supply energy to the motor, it will keep on turning, and that energy is supplied by our attachment in the modes of material nature. Right? We talked about how when you're at the edge of the circle, you're moving very fast in many different directions. But when you come closer to the circle, to the center, your movements become very tight, and your angular velocity is, your velocity in general is reduced. Okay, so then we saw how Lord Brahma is asking us to focus on Sri Krishna by abandoning attempts for knowledge, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also said, right? Jada Vidya Mayar Vaibhav, Jiv ko banaye gadha. Like by acquiring material knowledge in the material world, we're becoming more and more donkey-like, right? Working very hard for nothing. Everybody is busily running around. We looked at that. We looked at how the devotees are also running around, but the devotees are running to Krishna, whereas the others are running in circles, different circles around Krishna, right? Because ultimately, Krishna is the center of everybody follows his path, right? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that also. He says how uh, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmano vartante manushya partha sarvasha. Everybody goes around whatever I dictate, whether it's through Maya or through my direct energy, the yoga Maya. Right? We looked at various verses. We looked at that Ishwar Sarvabhutanam Hiddesha Arjuna Tishtati, and Yanta Rudhani Maya. We look at how the machine, we can, that Maya can be Mahamaya or Yoga Maya, depending on where we are looking. We are looking away from Krishna, it's Mahamaya. Looking towards Krishna, it's Yoga Maya, and we are coming towards Krishna. The yantra is bringing us close to Krishna. Right? We talked about how we are nourishing that wheel, keeping that wheel running by feeding the modes of material nature. But if we take that feeding and we feed the Bhakti Lata Bij, that will actually stop that rotation in the material world. Right? We looked at the story of the Avanti Brahman who lost everything and but gained Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada's story is very similar actually. He lost everything, technically speaking, but he gained Krishna. But he had Krishna already, and Krishna took everything else away from him and gave everything else back to him through himself. So he did that. There's also the story of Pingala, the prostitute who actually experiences this exact thing in the space of one night. And our minds, the prostitute mind, has been around for so many years, and we haven't perfected that. What Pingala perfected in one night. Okay, so therefore she's a spiritual master. She's our acharya. Okay, so we saw about how we can do this. Everything is with free will. Yatechasya tatha kuru. We have the choice to act for Krishna or act in Krishna consciousness or act in material consciousness. And in this way, we decide what our trajectory is. Okay, so with that, I will end and take any reflections, questions, or comments. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for such a beautiful class. Very grateful to you. Lot of examples. Yeah, Prabhuji, I really like the point of that chakra, where if you are connected to Maya, then you will be coming again and again. Other than if you go to Bhakti Lata, then you will escape from all of this. And how the devotees are also running. If you see them in a material perfect perspective, you see them, they're also running, and other people are also running. But then we are running for Krishna, not for the material purpose. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. And Avanti Brahmana story and the Pingala story, everything is very good, Prabhuji. Very grateful to you. I don't have any question. Dear devotees, if anybody have any question, please go ahead.
Yeah, that's a really nice summary. Thank you very much, Mother Vika.
You have question, Prabhuji? Oh, sorry, I think he did not ask. Okay. Usually Prabhuji raises his hand. I thought he raised. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody having any questions or realizations? Please go ahead. Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very, very wonderful class. I like the way how you explained that the center point of the circle is Krishna, how far we be away, that much we have to circle, right? So that's how we are giving all the engagements in the life to keep our busyness every day and keeping Krishna away. The main thing I got from this is keep your circle small so that we can be.
No, you can make the circle big, like Srila Prabhupada make a very big circle, but his circle was big, but he was at the center next to Krishna.
Yeah, but we can't take that center point, Prabhuji. That is always Krishna, and keep our connection small so that we can rotate a little bit closer to Krishna, not that far away that we have to run too much.
Actually, that's a misunderstanding. It's not that we should keep our circle small. It's that no matter how big the circle is, where we should be next to Krishna, close to the center.
Close to
the circle can be big. You can preach to the whole world. You can build thousands of temples. You can create all sorts of projects. You can make tens of thousands of devotees. No problem. Our spiritual masters do that every day. But they are close to Krishna. That's the point.
Yeah.
The point is not that we should be, but
on the circumference.
Where our consciousness is. Where our consciousness is. Exactly. Exactly.
Very wonderful class.
Thank you, Mother. It's Lord Brahma's genius.
Thank you.
And how you explain with your engineering expertise, that is also very good. When you stop the power, it will stop after a little bit of time. But where the power is connected, that's what we have to realize.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yes, Bala Prabhu, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Mataji. I appreciate that. That was one of the best classes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for a great analogy. So while you were describing about material energy, Mahamaya versus Yogamaya, the kind of opposite example comes from how Mahaprabhu gave instructions, sent a message to Bhakti, one of the Goswamis, Raghunath Das Goswami, right? He was so wealthy, he was trying to get away from all his wealth, running towards Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu sent him back. He gave a beautiful example, just like paramour. You still stay and involved, but your mind is always with the Krishna. Can you give us some comment on that?
Yeah, so
That's a
Raghunath,
beautiful example how.
yeah, so Raghunath Das Goswami's situation, like he was in two different situations at two different points in life. So the instruction given to Raghunath Das Goswami in the beginning was to perform his duties to his parents, because his parents were also Vaishnavas, they were devotees. So therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it would have caused them great pain if Raghunath Das Goswami had left the association of his parents and come to Mahaprabhu at that time. Later on, Raghunath Das Goswami only came after his parents departed. So he essentially, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that there was nobody else to fulfill the responsibility that Raghunath Das Goswami had to fulfill, and after that he came, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So regardless, I think his specific instruction was consistent with what Lord Brahma is saying here. So what Lord Brahma is saying is that, he's saying that indirectly he's saying in the other verses also there are more prayers, but he's saying, and Srila Prabhupada is quoting, he says, every one of us therefore should offer respectful obeisances to this central reality. So Raghunath Das Goswami was instructed to stay away, but offer obeisances to the central reality. In other words, he was instructed to look inwards and not just worry about the external situation, that whether he's renounced or not. Keep Krishna in the heart always. So that was an instruction that was Mahaprabhu is saying exactly the same thing here. Like the paramour example is very ideal in this regard. Like so even Pingala, actually, the story that we just discussed with Pingala, in Pingala's prayer, she adopts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, as her lover. So she reaches the position of that from a person who is entranced with handsome men and rich men, ordinary men. She sees that these are just bags of stool and pus and urine and just covered up with some skin. And I'm attracted by such people who cannot even give anything to their dependents. Like, what can they give me? Whatever they give me is temporary anyways. So let me adopt as my paramour the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. So she also comes to that realization. The paramour example that you just mentioned. So she also comes to that realization in the same way. Thank you so much for that. Does that help? Or
yeah, absolutely. So can I ask you a follow-up question on that? For example, from your life, how do you adopt that mood in a daily basis? You also work. You also involved with Krishna consciousness. Give us some examples from your life.
So my spiritual master said, do everything so you can do your service. So he said, so my spiritual master said, always be in a position where you give to ISKCON. Don't be in a position where you're expecting something back from ISKCON. So in order to be able to give to ISKCON, I have to bring some resources in. I have to do something. Like if I'm going to give donations to my local temples, to the various spiritual masters, if I'm going to render my service, then I have to keep myself strong. In the 8th canto, the same canto, we'll come to that. We have already, I don't know. Yes, we have already covered that. Gajendra's prayers. in the purports of the Gajendra's prayers, Srila Prabhupada is saying that a man should keep himself fit to fight the attacks of Maya. So in other words, that we have needs, right? We have needs for food and for shelter and for different kinds of things, for some kind of recognition in society or whatever. Those are all psychophysical natures of the particular conditioning that we have right now. So we should fulfill that needs. But my spiritual master said, wear tilak always. So I wear tilak to the office. I yesterday, through my professional LinkedIn account, I invited the whole world to the Toronto Rath Yatra. It took time to get there. Like in the beginning, I was very, very shy and nervous to talk about my spiritual journey until I met, there was a great devotee, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada by the name of Peter Burwash. He was a Canadian Davis Cup tennis player, and Srila Prabhupada had instructed him to remain in that line. He had instructed him not to shave his head and join the temple. So because this Peter Burwash was the tennis coach for great tennis players like Serena Williams, Venus Williams, like he had so many famous tennis players, and his academy was very, very strict. Peter Burwash. So I told him, I asked him a question in New Vrindavan about this. I have to go to meetings. Sometimes the meetings are in restaurants. What do you do in those cases? I'm always like kind of apologetic. He said, never be apologetic about your devotional self. He said, be completely open. You say, you go to a restaurant and you see that they are selling the flesh of slaughtered cows, for example. So you don't have to eat anything there. You tell them, today I'm going to drink water. And you tell them, doctor's orders. And isn't your spiritual master your doctor? He asked me. So you have to speak in a way that people can appreciate, because everybody knows if a doctor is ordering you to not eat or drink something, then you have to do it. They don't have to know that the doctor you're referring to is your spiritual master.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. In another case, Radhika Raman Prabhu, the great child prodigy who completed his PhD before the age of 25. I think 21 is when he got his PhD. Sons of Arudha Mataji, both he and his brother. Somebody asked him a similar question, and he says he calls the restaurants ahead of time, and he says, I don't eat anything that is cooked in a kitchen where meat is cooked. So can you make something for me with uncut fruit? He asked them. Because cut fruit, they might have used the same knives, etc. So can you make something? And then they prepare. The chef is so enlivened at this challenge to make something amazing that they make something for him, and all the others at the table are like, can we get what you're getting? So and he says, why don't you eat what we are eating? And he says, Radhika Raman Prabhu says, I'm a Vaishnava. I don't eat food cooked in a kitchen where meat is cooked. He says that openly. So I have learned from all of these different Vaishnavas that we can be very open with our devotional practices in a very intelligent way. Like people ask me about my tilak, and if a person is sincere, then I say, this is tilak. It centers me and reminds me that I'm not this body, and reminds me that this body is a temple of God. God lives in my heart. Everybody accepts that God lives in your heart. All the Christians accept. Everybody accepts that God lives in your heart, and they understand it. But if somebody is trying to make fun of it, like there was some person who was a COO in a company that I used to work for, and we were busy working on a particular M&A deal at that time, and he was making fun of my tilak, and I said, Tom, you be careful. This is my war paint. You watch out. Right? And it was a fight. Like he was like a big 6.5 foot man, but I was so aggressive with him that he never said anything about my tilak or my devotional practices ever again. And we did 4 or 5 M&A deals together. and so there was no problem. So we can be empowered by our spiritual masters to be open about our devotional practices in a very intelligent way. Of course, you can't do that at the beginning of your career. So any young professionals out there, don't do this. But gradually, as you gain seniority and respect in the community, you can be much more open.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So I've been telling my like people, when people ask, hey, I have Ash Wednesday every day.
That's amazing. I love it. That's great. Perfect for the US.
What did you say, Prabhuji? Can you repeat that again, Bala Prabhu?
Ash, you know,
He says he has Ash Wednesday every day.
Oh, okay.
because Christians know Ash Wednesday, right? They put the ashes on the head.
Ashes on the head, the forehead. Yeah.
They only do once a year, you know. But I have every day.
I love it. You gave me a new trick, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
But people appreciate that, you know, when I said that.
Yeah, that's
you know.
great. I love it. It's a great one. I'll use that too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No, you brought up a very great points about how to be intelligent. At the same time, I think that's what Prabhupada did too, right? He was every word he spoke, same question but differently, different answers he used to give. You know,
Yeah,
that's
you're right. He does that. Does that all. I'm very amazed by how he's speaking different things to different people
Yeah.
based on the same question. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bala
Right.
Prabhu, for nice questions. Thank you, Prabhuji, for beautiful answers. So much inspiring, Prabhuji. Very grateful to you for sharing your personal experiences. Himangi Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Beautiful, beautiful class. I just wanted to just get my understanding corrected. So what I understand is that because with the class as well, like it's our attachments which are making us go in this cycle of birth, life, death, and whatnot. So when we are attached to Krishna and we develop this higher taste, then we will slowly get detached from this material attachments we have. Is this correct understanding, Prabhuji, or you would like to add some more to my
No,
understanding?
it's not about being detached. It's about being unattached. There's a difference. There are two extremes. On one extreme is attachment. That is full heavy karmic thing. I am working balawan siddhi, like, you know, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 16th chapter, the demonic person fully heavily attached to the results of their work and so on. And on the other side, you have the Mayavadis who are detached. They don't care about anything or anyone, actually. So we are meant to walk the golden mean, the middle line, middle path. We are neither attached nor we are detached. We are unattached. So how that works is that because we are attached to Krishna, we see everything and everyone in relation to Krishna. And we try to figure out, how can I strengthen this person's attached connection to Krishna? So therefore, we are unattached because we are like, "Ythechasi tatha kuru," you do whatever you like. We are not forcing anybody, so we are not yelling at anybody. When I'm a new devotee, you know, I preach very strongly, especially to people that I am materially attached to, and that comes across as being very rude, mean, etc., etc. Nobody takes it. You know, you get into fights all the time, but later on, it's like, this is what I do. This is what you should be doing. Ythechasi tatha kuru. We're unattached to what they are actually doing because we know that they belong to Krishna anyways. They don't belong to us. So we give them whatever we can give them, and they can take whatever they want to take. And in this way, we neither attached nor detached, but we're unattached. Attachment to Krishna produces unattachment to everything else, but not detachment. We care about the outcomes. We want them to chant. We want them to take a book. We want them to perform devotional service, but we are not forcing them and burning them out.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very beautifully described. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mother Himangi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji, for the beautiful question. And thank you, Prabhu, for answering. Anjana Gopika Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much. It's a very beautiful class. And Prabhuji, you were talking about the three modes of material nature, and we're supposed to come out from that. But even though we are practicing devotional service, it is very easy to come back and feed these three modes. You know, we are either always feeding mode of ignorance, you know, criticizing the devotees, or something desire, something in the Rajaguna paths or goodness, something is there, Prabhuji. You know, give the some tips. Always I'm feeling I'm coming back in the modes again and again.
Yato yato nischalati manaschanchala asthiram tatastato niyam metad atmavashyam. So we have to take the mind will go everywhere, Mataji. It's a job of the mind. It's the nature of the mind. It's the nature of our attention, flickering. So, yatha tipo nivatastho. So, we want to get to a point where we are like a lamp in a windless place. But in the meantime, our lamp of our consciousness is going everywhere, here and there. But if you see from the behavior of mothers, they just keep bringing the child back to where the child needs to be, right? So the child is running away, it's time to eat, the mother brings the child back. The child is running away, it's time to bath, child brings the mother back. The mother brings the child back. So in this way, we just keep bringing back. And there are many different techniques. My spiritual master says you can use Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's technique of beating the mind with brooms and shoes, and really being very strict with it, which can not literally but figuratively through Shastra, and saying, look at this mind, this is what the Shastra says. See, look at Pingala's realization. She had it in one night. You haven't had it in a whole lifetime. Like that, you can beat the mind with shoes and broomsticks, or you can go the Govinda Das route, and you say, Bhajahure mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. And then you can explain to the mind, Durlabha Manava Janma Satsange Tarahue Bhava Sindhure. And it's a matter of, we are trying to dilute out the material consciousness from our mind. So the more we engage ourselves in, more we pack ourselves up with devotional service, and it makes material sense gratification that much more difficult. Right? We had some materialistic friends, and they happened to be from my wife's town, and some of them, they were even classmates, like, at a certain point. So it was very difficult for them because of, and for us because of our the past, whatever attachment to remove ourselves from their situation, from their association. It was difficult, or to bring them to, they're not interested in devotional service. So, but it was happening gradually. But one day, it so happened that I was out on the street chanting Harinam Mahamantra on Kirtan, outside a railway station in Toronto, outside Union Station, here in Toronto. I was doing Harinam. And this lady and her mother were both, had come downtown to attend some music concert or something like that. Some pop star was here and they had come. And it so happened that they walked right by me. But when they saw me, and I was dressed in business clothing, but I was on the street with karatals and singing like a madman, basically. Who stands there and sings like this, right? I was not looking for money or anything. They were so embarrassed that they did not even speak to me. They turned, like they pretended not to know me, not to recognize me. And from that day, they never reached out to me. So now Krishna has taken away that association. I don't have that problem anymore. I didn't have to worry about it. Krishna just arranged for me to be standing there doing Harinam on the street like a beggar when they were going for a concert, dressed up, in some strange clothes, etc. So that's it. I'm freed from that association by Krishna's mercy. Because before it was like once a month or once every 2 months, they'll invite us to their house. Then we are like, I can't eat this, I can't do that. The alcohol being like, I don't want to be here. And it was like troublesome. Now they will never invite me again. They, what sort of madman they will invite, right? They won't invite me again. So this is one specific example. I'm sure you have some similar examples also. But that's it. Astilo. That's the niyam. Bring it back with rules and regulations. And say, no, on Monday morning, this is what we do, mind. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for that example. Very nice examples to give. Sindhu Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for
Hare
a
Krishna.
wonderful class. Very, very beautiful class. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Now that Anjana Gopika Mataji brought about friends, I will go one step further and ask you about relatives, right? It's very, very difficult. I mean, they're not non-devotees. You can't even call them non-devotees.
Yes.
They're all, I mean, in a different way, they have their own ideas about worship and God and everything. But it is very stringent for them when we say we don't eat onion and garlic, we don't eat outside, we don't want to have the kind of entertainment and fun that they have. And it's very difficult to say no every time. Every time my brother or somebody calls me, I'm like, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do this. And my chanting is important. My, worship to the Lord is important, right? Sometime I feel it strains the relationship because I'm not able to, connect with them at the different levels that they call enjoyment in life or, the happiness in life. I'm not able to connect at that level, right? And it's very difficult, and I don't know how to handle. 8 out of 10 times I say no, 2 times I give in. When I give in, I know I'm giving in, but I know my bhakti comes down. Again, I have to work very hard to come back to whatever little level that I'm at also, right?
Yeah, it's a fact. So I'll give you two things, Mataji. So what you're doing by having a plan for, let's say they have some activity on Saturday evening.
Mm-hmm.
If you already have a plan, then you tell them, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm going to do this. It's already planned. I'm committed. I have invited people or whatever. I'm committed to the host, whatever it might be. So Vaisheshika Prabhu says this really well. He says that if you don't have a plan, then anything will do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what is important for us is to make a plan and communicate that plan. There was a time when we faced this situation also, people would invite us to various things on Sunday evening. Eventually, it came to the point that if you want to meet these people on Sunday evening, you have to meet them at the temple because that's the Sunday feast time. So whoever wants to meet you, they will come to the Sunday feast, and we can have a conversation there. But I already have my services. Like I'm distributing books on Sunday evening to the congregation. No, I'm at the book table. I manage the book. What I don't manage the book table. I don't have any those, but I stand there and I distribute books. So people now know not to do those things with me. My parents, my family members, at a certain point in time, they will. So I will tell you that they have some kind of attachment to you. They have some kind of love and affection towards you. If that love and affection is strong enough, then they will do what is important to you. Right? So and it is important for you not to give in, because what if they don't do those activities and they do something with you instead, they will benefit more. So you should be firm in your conviction that what you are doing is the right thing to do, and those who are fortunate will come and do those things with you.
Nice, very nice, Prabhu.
Finally, I will tell you one of the things that His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Maharaj said. I heard this personally from him in Durban, South Africa. So he said that when we are entering devotional service, we feel like we are giving up so many things. It's a thought in the back of our minds, all of us, that I'm giving up opportunities for advancement in the material world. I'm not networking with these rich and powerful people, so I won't get the opportunities that they would otherwise provide to me. Or I'm losing my friends because the activities that we used to do together, we no longer do together ever again. Like we don't do those things anymore. And we feel like we are giving up so many things, and we are losing. But there will come a certain point when Krishna will give you more than you ever had in ways that you won't even imagine possible. So today, I have a devotee circle. Those devotees will do more for me than my own family members.
Very true.
They will go out of their way and inconvenience themselves to no end practically speaking, they will destroy their own life just to support me in some way. So no family member has ever done that kind of thing. I will tell you, I have a real example of this. In 2012, we had a house fire, our whole house burned down. Not a single family member was able to help because they are not here. Right? The only people who helped in, like, we just, as if we are going and staying in our parents' house. We went and stayed in in devotee's house. We didn't have anything with us. Everything was so, but devotees helped us in that way. This was in 2012. Before that also, when I had business issues, and all the people who were respecting me because I was a respected businessman, kind of started disrespecting me, or like not wanting to. So nobody wants to be around a poor man, to be honest with you. But not the devotees. The devotees don't care about these things. Real devotees. There are always the Prakrita Bhaktas. You have to tolerate them. They will come to the right point eventually, but that's how it is. And this is what Kadambakanan Maharaj said, that Krishna will give you so much that he quoted Srila Prabhupada saying that Srila Prabhupada's father taught him that Krishna has 10 hands and you have 2 hands. So if Krishna wants to take something from you, what can you protect from Krishna with your own little 2 hands when he has 10 hands? And then if Krishna wants to give you, how much can you hold in your own little 2 hands when he has 10 hands to give you? So in this way, that conviction, once the conviction comes that this is the best thing for me, and if they follow what I am doing, it is the best thing for them also, then you will be on your path without any problems. And those who are supposed to join you will join you. And remember, I said the thing about being unattached. So that will also happen.
Very nice. Very beautiful points, Prabhu. I
Thank
will
you very
always
much.
remember those things. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you
I
very
have
much.
one
Hare
other
Krishna.
question, Prabhu.
Sure.
Uh,
Sure.
You spoke about you actually chanting on the street. It takes a lot of courage to do that. So my question is, how did you start that? And do you do it alone, or is it with other group of devotees?
It's like with any other habit. It starts small.
Okay.
But eventually, there's a phrase in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Gayati Rautiti, Jagad Unmadavat. Like, at a certain point, you really don't care who is seeing you or who is not. You know that even the person who thinks bad about you, if they hear the Harinam, they will be benefited. And therefore, we do it. Anyways, so yes, I go with devotees. I go alone. I have a group. Some people sometimes join me. Sometimes the schedules don't work out. People want to join, but the schedules don't work out. But yes, I have a target, an annual target, to go out on 108 Sankirtan outings. So there is book distribution of Harinam Sankirtan every year. And it really keeps me on my toes to make that 108 target every year. So I've been doing it for several years now. And, sometimes you just have to go out alone. Take some books and just step out alone and do it. And it's a really fun thing. But see, it's different for different people and your particular situation.
Exactly.
Right? So you have to do whatever is possible for you, right? Man can do certain things. Person in a woman's body necessarily cannot do certain things. But maybe if there is a group, then they can do certain things. Like I know Matajis who go out together as a group because it's not safe for them to go out alone in the kinds of situations that are in the external world. So they go out in groups. They do different kinds of things. They organize, like they go to, I know some amazing fired up devotee ladies who, they go to Ugadi events. They set up a book table there. Or they go to whatever, like Sankranti events, cultural events. So in that way, let's say your relatives are there, you say, I will go there, but this is what I will do there.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Right? So if you think about it very carefully and deeply, then Krishna will inspire you in ways that you never thought possible.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, and it's
Hare
very
Krishna.
practical tips that you give, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I remember in Guru Maharaj lecture, Guru Maharaj was saying that we have to become perfect businessman. Wherever the opportunity comes, you use it. That's a perfect businessman, but it is Krishna conscious business.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you,
Our
Prabhuji.
family business. You know,
Yeah.
there's a famous book by Vaisheshika Prabhu, Our Family Business.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's our family business. To
Thank
somehow
you.
figure out how to bring Krishna into everything.
Use it successfully so that we can give Krishna to many people. Thank you, Prabhu. So what a wonderful examples that you shared from your personal sadhana. That really inspiring, Prabhuji, for all of us. Very grateful to you. I think there are no more questions. If there are
Hare
no more
Krishna.
questions, we can end the call here. I would like to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call.
Vancha
Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Satakoti Vaishnaviti ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace
Jai.
Mahabhagavat Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Radhe
jai.
Radhe.
Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you so much, dear.